Then we were fortunate enough to actually win the competition through a series of presentations, and then we were faced with reality. We had to actually take these ideas and turn them into something that was affordable, could achieve the lofty goals of a net zero home, and have that be done on a very inexpensive level that could be done quickly. So things like fancy bridges that spanned over roadways onto earthen levees were very quickly cut out of the project just because they didn't make any sense. And the scope of the project and the scale, the homes were reduced down, the community center aspect was simplified, and the apartment buildings was also reduced in scale. And this was what the direction of the project looked like. We were still trying to anchor the corner to draw people in. We still maintained this idea of the educational transect, but it was more of a two-dimensional surface on the groundscape, and the homes took on a fairly regularized typology as they made their way down the streetscape, because we had to deal with the harsh realities of historic community boards and things like that were reviewing the project. The apartment building was, still achieved many of the goals of net zero. We had photovoltaic panels. These were envisioned to be sort of modular boxes that were stacked together and could be very quickly implemented and integrated and replicated throughout the community. And we were making, elements of bringing greenery into the space, all of which wasn't there before, but this idea of sort of lacing the buildings with greenery, something that does very well in New Orleans, we felt was a worthy cause. And then this was the initial renderings of the first home that was built, and I will turn it over to Matt, who will walk you through the status today.
So Andrew just walked you through what this project looked like on paper. And on paper, you can see architects, we like to have a lot of fun. We do some great renderings, we come up with some great design ideas, but then like you said, we had to figure out how to build it. And that's where kind of the laboratory shifted, and that's where the discussion shifted. And we really went into essentially what was kind of a real R&D mode. I mean, this is where we were having very, very long multi-hour phone calls, conference calls with 20 people on them once a week, with every type of professional on board talking about how to make these homes perform the way that they needed to perform. So the goal initially was to have these all be net zero homes, and a lot of time and energy was spent on the first house. Now the houses were built in 3 phases. It was the first house, the model house, then 2 more houses, and then 2 more houses after that. And the first house, like the first prototype of anything, is going to be incredibly expensive. It's going to take a lot of time to develop, and then you're going to study its performance. This house it was all of those things. It was expensive, it took a long time to develop, but then we got to study it. And what we learned through this whole process was that we were not only educating ourselves, but we were educating the community and educating the tradesmen, the local community in terms of the homeowners, and the local community in terms of the trade professionals who were down there, including things like Andrew said, simple things. Now you go to Home Depot and you see something like a tankless hot water heater. 5 years ago you didn't. So trying to explain that to a plumber and make him not kind of jump back or throw a high number at it because he was afraid of dealing with it, came a whole educational process that we worked through with this first home. And the supply chain today is beginning to change. You walk into Home Depot today, you do see LED light bulbs and tankless hot water heaters and stuff like that. But 5 years ago, those things didn't exist. So it was really a lot of kind of clawing our way through this house so that we could prove to everybody that a lot of the decisions that were made were smart decisions. You can see some of the other houses that are being built. Every material, every system that went into this house was analyzed very, very thoroughly. And then as the rest of the site got built out, including a monitoring system. So now years later, we can look back and we can actually monitor all of the energy consumption, water consumption, and usage of the home. The interesting thing, though, is that as the houses got built, 2 more on the left, the model home was in the middle, 2 more on the left, and then the 2 more on the right, we got closer and closer to our goal of building an affordable, sustainable home. So the next 2 were a little less expensive, and then the final 2 were actually built for the market price. So in terms of building an affordable net zero home, we finally, after this kind of long process, achieved our goals. And then ultimately the last piece of the puzzle, or one of the last pieces of the puzzle, which is now hopefully going to start construction soon, is the community center. The community center anchors the north part of the site, and what they want to do is use it as a means of getting resources and materials to the community. So all of the lessons learned in these houses, they now want to transfer, take that information, carry it forward. And for us, walking away from this project, we're still involved 5 years later. It goes slowly. We're in a new economy. Fundraising is different. Getting money for the apartment building and the tax credits, which is on the south part of the site, will happen hopefully eventually. But right now, the goal is to focus on the community center. But we are in a new time. And one of the things for us that we took away from this experience was a number of lessons that we learned. One, that if you don't have access to professionals, and here we had lived in a world, and you saw, Andrew showed you the work that we've built our practice on and cut our teeth on. We live in a world where people have access to professionals. They can afford to hire professionals on the residential scale, and they get a great product because of it. But 98% of the people in this country don't have access to professionals. And therefore, there's a huge gap between the materials and performance that they can get through a professional and the materials and performance they get on their own. So for us, the carry forward was to say, how can we leverage our ideas? How can we leverage our experience into a platform that is highly scalable and gets better design and better performance out to more people? So we've launched Sprucebox, and again, we're celebrating kind of anniversaries for us. This was launched just 2 weeks ago. So we're very, if you make it 2 weeks, and yeah. But really launching it on the heels of the New Orleans experience, because when we talked to people down there, they were willing to listen, they were willing to learn, but they wanted information, and they wanted information that they could understand and digest in quick sound bites. They didn't want to go to the internet and Google solar hot water and then get bombarded with thousands of pages and have no idea what they meant. So they wanted information that they could distill, that was coherent, and that they could make an intelligent decision on. So Sprucebox, sprucebox.com, you go on. We're starting very simply with the two areas of the home that most people care about, which is the kitchen and the bath. And it allows people it gives them access to design. You go on, given lots of choices. You pick, you watch things change. If any of you have built a car online, that's fundamentally the idea. It's putting power in the hands of the homeowner, because not every homeowner has access to professionals, whether they don't know them or budget-wise or whoever it is. So they can go on and they get all the information that they need. And for us, it's a way of carrying some of these ideas forward, giving people better design, more information, carrying it through the different areas. This is the bath. You can make different selections. Basically, you get how it works. It's very simple. And trying to say that we know that the professionals of this world are a resource. But we, the professionals of this world, especially on a residential scale, the projects you saw earlier, the institutional projects, the commercial projects, the tall towers, those always have teams of engineers, teams of architects, and that's great. They're thinking through those projects. But how do we get that information down to the 98% of the homeowners who frankly would benefit from it? They would benefit from lower cost energy, or lower energy bills, more healthy environments. They would benefit from a better understanding of how their home operates and better performance. So for us, we want to take Sprucebox, continue to build it out, carry it forward so that we can begin to answer those questions and become a place, a kind of a go-to place where anybody with a question about how their home performs, what they should do, and where to find good, coherent information can go to start their journey moving forward. We can't build it for you. We can't hold your hand all the way. But what we can do is provide a mouthpiece for the profession to get that information to people who, frankly, would benefit from it in a tremendous way. So that is for us our carry forward. That is for us the lesson we learned from New Orleans, is that we do possess a tremendous amount of information, and we need to do a better job as a profession of getting it out to people. Thank you very much.